Thank you. I'm going to continue on today with the Heart of the Buddhist Teachings by Thich, Nhat, Hanh. I do something a little different today as I talk, and it's related to the talk, is the idea of coming back to the present moment. And one of the best ways that I've found is to choose something in your life that is random and repeats itself. And as I understand, in Thich Nhat Hanh's Sangha, his monastery retreat in France, Deer Park, they had a mindfulness bell, and no matter what anybody was doing, working, meditating, whatever they might have been doing, a bell rang randomly, and everybody stopped and came back to the present moment. So I'd like you to do that with me today. I'll ring a random bell every now and then, and just come back to your breath and inhale and exhale and just kind of feel the present moment. And this relates to what this chapter is about. This chapter is about stopping, calming, resting, healing. And he's going to describe the techniques of this. So I'll continue on here. This is chapter 6. Buddhist meditation has two aspects: shamatha and vipassana. We tend to stress the importance of vipassana, which means looking deeply, because it can bring us insight and liberate us from suffering and afflictions. But the practice of shamatha, stopping, is fundamental. If we cannot stop, we cannot have insight. There's a story in Zen circles about a man and a horse. The horse is galloping quickly, and it appears that the man on the horse is going somewhere important. Another man, standing alongside the road, shouts, "Where are you going?" And the first man replies, "I don't know. Ask the horse." And this is also our story. We are riding a horse. We don't know where we are going, and we can't stop. The horse is our habit energy pulling us along, and we are powerless. We are always running, and it has become a habit. We struggle all the time, even during our sleep. We are at war within ourselves, and we can easily start a war with others. We have to learn the art of stopping. Stopping our thinking, our habit energies, our forgetfulness, the strong emotions that rule us. When an emotion rushes through us like a storm, we have no peace. We turn on the TV, and then we turn it off. We pick up a book, and then we put it down. I'm going to add this. We pick up our phone, and we death scroll. How can we stop this state of agitation? How can we stop our fear, despair, anger, and craving? We can stop by practicing mindful breathing, mindful walking, mindful smiling, looking deeply in order to understand. When we are mindful, touching deeply the present moment. The fruits are always understanding, acceptance, love, and the desire to relieve suffering and bring joy. But our habit energies are often stronger than our volition. We say and we do things we don't want to, and afterwards we regret it. We make ourselves and others suffer, and we bring about a lot of damage. We may vow not to do it again, but we do it again. Why? Because our habit energies, vasana, push us. You know, when I was dealing with a lot of things, and I work with a therapist quite readily, and learning how emotions work, because for the longest time I didn't understand how to express them properly, so I would express them improperly, and usually with some kind of anger or just laugh it off. And so understanding how that process works, we have something happens, and we have a chemical electric response in our bodies, or receptors. Different receptors accept different things, and so with that we have an emotion. An emotion is created, and then we, at that point, learn how to choose to express that emotion. And whether it's verbally, whether it's physically, whether we suppress it, or whether we say, oh, there it is. And I think that's the great thing about our training, our Zen training, is that that's what we're constantly doing. We see something arises, and we see it, and we don't grasp it. We just let it do what it's going to do without our participation, other than, oh, well, there's angry, there's sadness, there's happy, and there it is as we sit. And so we learn how to identify those things, and then we can express them in a appropriate way. And I think that's the key. We don't suppress it. We don't push it away. We respond to it appropriately. We need the energy of mindfulness to recognize and be present with our habit energy in order to stop this course of destruction. With mindfulness, we have the capacity to recognize the habit energy every time it manifests. Hello, my habit energy. I know you are there. If we just smile at it, it loses much of its strength. Mindfulness is the energy that allows us to recognize our habit energy and to prevent it from dominating us. Forgetfulness is the opposite. We drink a cup of tea, but we do not know we are drinking a cup of tea. We sit with the person we love, but we don't know where she is. We walk, but we're not really walking. We are someplace else, thinking about the past or about the future. The horse of our habit energy is carrying us along, and we are its captive. We need to stop our horse and reclaim our liberty. We need to shine the light of mindfulness on everything we do. So the darkness of forgetfulness will disappear. The first function of meditation, shamatha, is to stop. There was a book called The Zen of Recovery, and he described this process very well as far as the monkey mind, and described it as being in Grand Central Station, and where all these buses are leaving and going to different places, and then you're sitting there in Grand Central Station, and you hear the call for a bus leaving for New York City, and all of a sudden you're on the bus to New York City, and you're halfway there, and then all of a sudden you realize, I don't want to go to New York City, and so you have to get off that bus, and then go back to Grand Central Station, where you sit again, and then you end up on another bus, and another and another. And that's our practice, is to recognize before we get on the bus, before we get on that horse, that is our choice, that we have a choice in that. It's not just this habit energy. The second function of shamatha is calming. When we have a strong emotion, we know it can be dangerous to act, but we don't have the strength or the clarity to refrain. We have to learn the art of breathing in and breathing out, stopping our activities and calming our emotions. And that's the great thing about stopping and calming, is that you come back to your breath. It's the first point that you do as the bell rings. You come back to your breath. And then you take in where you are, what you are doing. And your mind comes back to Grand Central Station and to that present moment. We have to learn to become solid and stable, like an oak tree, and not be blown from side to side by the storm. The Buddha taught many techniques to help us calm our body and our mind, and to look deeply at them. They can be summarized in 5 stages. The first stage is recognition. If we are angry, we say, I know that anger is in me. And that's like half the battle. It's just identifying what that emotion is. If it's anger, oh, there's anger. I've seen that before. I've felt that before. The second stage is acceptance. When we are angry, we do not deny it. We accept what is present. Yeah, we don't stuff it. It's almost like you're turning that emotion in on yourself. And it's very violent. Just as much violent as if you express that anger on whoever or whatever might have brought that emotion to you. The third is embracing. We hold our anger in our 2 arms, like a mother embracing her crying baby. Our mindfulness embraces our emotion, and this alone can calm our anger and ourselves. And in that embracing, it's realizing this is part of me. This is part of who I am. It's not. You get kind of divorced to whatever brought that anger to you, and as it came up, because that anger is yours. It's not something that somebody else did. That is yours. And how do you care for it? The fourth stage is looking deeply. When we are calm enough, we can look deeply to understand what has brought this anger to be. What is causing our baby's discomfort? The fifth stage, insight. The fruit of looking deeply is understanding the many causes and conditions, primary and secondary, that have brought about our anger, that are causing our baby to cry. Perhaps our baby is hungry or hangry. Perhaps his diaper pin is piercing his skin. Maybe we have some pain, whether it's physical or it's mental. Our anger is triggered when our friend spoke to us meanly, and suddenly we remember that he was not at his best today because his father is dying. Take in the situation. We reflect like this until we have some insights into what has caused our suffering. With insight, we know what to do and what not to do to change the situation. After calming, the third function of shamatha is resting. Suppose someone is standing alongside a river and throws a pebble in the air and it falls down into the river. The pebble allows itself to sink slowly and reach the riverbed without any effort. Once the pebble is at the bottom, it continues to rest, allowing the water to pass by. When we practice sitting meditation, we can allow ourselves to rest just like that pebble. We can allow ourselves to sink naturally into the position of sitting, resting, without effort. We have to learn the art of resting, allowing our body and our mind to rest. If we have wounds in our body or in our mind, we have to rest so we can heal themselves. And that's the crux of our practice, isn't it? It's to sit and settle and be upright and to respond appropriately with wisdom and compassion to all things, including ourselves, including the things that come up in ourselves. When I first started meditating, one of the instructions was not Zen, was as things came up, you whack them down. It was like this, the game Whack-A-Mole, where a little mole pops up out of a hole, you got a thing and you smack it. And I found it exhausting. It really was. You think about it, it's a little violent. And you're not treating yourself very well because what comes up is part of you. And, recognizing whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it is part of you. So the art of just allowing, and you hear that a lot, is just allowing it to be. There it is. There's my old friend, that thought. That thing that I need to do in an hour or a day or a month. Or that thing that happened to me a year or 2 or 10 years ago. As it pops up, there it is. Oh, I know that. Hi. And you just rest and just allow it to do whatever it's going to do. And you don't even have to name it. You just say, oh, there it is. Calming allows us to rest. And resting is a precondition for healing. When animals in the forest get wounded, they find a place to lie down. And they rest completely for many days. They don't think about food or anything else. They just rest. And they get the healing they need. When we humans get sick, we just worry. We look for doctors and medicine, but we don't stop. Even when we go to the beach or to the mountains for a vacation, we don't rest. We come back more tired than before. We have to learn to rest. Lying down is not the only position for resting. During sitting or walking meditation, we can rest very well. Meditation does not have to be hard labor. Just allow your body and your mind to rest like an animal in the forest. Don't struggle. There is no need to attain anything. I am writing a book, but I am not struggling. I am resting also. Please read in a joyful yet restful way. The Buddha said, "My Dharma is the practice of non-practice." Practice in a way that does not tire you out, but gives your body, your emotions, and consciousness a chance to rest. Our body and our mind have the capacity to heal themselves if we allow them to rest. Stopping, calming, resting are preconditions for healing. If we cannot stop, the course of our destruction will just continue. The world needs healing. Individuals, communities, and nations need healing. Now, we might think, well, that's not our practice. That's not what we do. We just sit. And that's true. In Buddhist meditation, shamatha refers to calming or concentration meditation, focusing on a single point to quiet the mind, while vipassana means insight meditation, where the practitioner observes thoughts and sensations without judgment. With both practices often considered complementary aspects of a complete meditation practice, and Zen incorporates elements of both. And that's our Zazen. And we really are doing both of those things. It's not one separate meditation for the other. As almost everything in Zen, it's all connected. It's one complements the other. The key difference on the focus, the shamatha aims to give a calm, focused state of concentrating on a single object, like the breath or a candle or something like that, while vipassana focuses on observing the arising and passing of thoughts and sensations without getting caught up in them. The goal of shamatha is primarily seeks mental stillness and concentration. That's stopping. Whereas vipassana aims to develop insight into the nature of reality by observing experiences directly, what comes up. With our Zen, the integration of both. Zen often combines elements of the both. The typical Zen practice, like Zen, might involve initially focusing on the breath, which is shamatha-like, while simultaneously maintaining a broader awareness. A bigger container, become that bigger container. What else is there? Okay, especially it's a great tool when something seems to be agitating. And then you open awareness and you say, well, there's that, but what else is there? Is it the incense burning and the aroma that I'm smelling? Is it the bird outside chirping in the tree? And so you open your awareness without necessarily naming them, but aware of there they are. You become that bigger container. And so your insight isn't just here, even though everything's here, but it's everywhere. You widen your focus. So Yeah, I think at that I'll leave it there. If anybody has any comments or observation, or maybe some of your own experience with this, I'd like to hear it. Thank you very much. Yes, David.
Okay. So the the two types of meditation that you mentioned, one where you're focusing on a single object or thought, and the other one where you're, what was the other one that you described again?
It's insight. The first one, yes, concentration and stopping, shamatha, and the second is vipassana, and that's an insight meditation. You see that with they're both Theravada practices,
Hmm.
uh, so they tend to separate the two. Whereas Zen, we tend to incorporate it because both the Mahayana stream and the Theravadan stream flowed into China
Hmm.
and into Japan, and then so they took the kind of the best of the both and kind of combined it. That's you see that in both our Soto Zen practice and also in the Rinzai, and they use koans to as far as the kind of the concentration and the stopping. That's kind of their part, and then so they can gain the insight that they're looking for. Whereas we concentrate on our breath. Our breath is probably the first tool that we use when we sit and meditate. But then we gain insight because you invariably come across things that come up, whether it's in your mind or outward things, police or ambulance going by with a siren, or a dog barking, or a pain, or a irritating thought of something that's going on. Taxes are coming up. And so, yeah, it's gaining insight. Oh, there that is. So that, yeah, that the two techniques that the Buddha taught. This is actually, and this is what I picked this book from. This isn't an add-on from somebody that said, "Oh, well, we'll throw this on in there." These are actually the Buddha's teachings. So I think that's why it's so relevant to us.
Right. And sorry, in your experience, has there ever been a time where you have to practice one of specifically one of those two different types of meditation?
Yeah,
Since you,
for me, the first part, the stopping, is if before anything can happen. I think because we can go for a ride on the horse really easy, and so to be able to bring ourselves back in the present moment, use the mindfulness bell. I would also for someone who wants to practice with that, there's an app, and it's called the mindfulness bell, and you can put it on your phone, and it will. You can set it up to ring every 30 minutes, or you can set it up to ring in just random things, and just try that out. I did that for a while, and you have to watch it. It tends to suck the battery down on the phone, but because it's running all the time. But it's a cool practice, especially when we're first starting out and we're trying to quell that kind of monkey mind, that horse or the bus, whatever you might want to call it. So it's a great tool to bring us back to the present moment, bring us back to our breath, and go, oh, there I am, there I am, instead of wherever the horse was taking us.
there's an app for everything.
Yeah. Yes, Marty.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
Okay. So, I really appreciate this talk, and um, if you want to keep using Thich Nhat Hanh, it's okay with me. But a week or so, I struggle regularly with loneliness, and this the present moment thing is so helpful. The stopping and the opportunity to come back right now to the present moment and just look around and just be aware of right now. And it really is very healing. It's very, very helpful. And so yeah, this really hit home with me today. Thank you so
Well,
much.
you're very welcome. You know that they've been talking about how really, and I think that the pandemic just exasperated everything is the idea of separation and loneliness and um, so yeah, it's a tool like this because I think when I started practicing, the first thing I noticed is that the idea of loneliness and boredom tended to fade. You know, there's always there. You know, it's always good to reach out to others because they might be experiencing the same thing. Or I would just, if I get a little, it's just like uh, go to places and start a random conversation. But yeah, the idea of the present moment brings us back because the things like loneliness tug on us all the time, and it's not that we're grasping it, but it is tugging on us. You know, that's the kind of the opposite of grasping, and it's just there, and we don't want it there. So the present moment brings us back to that point where they said, "Oh, this is me. This is part of me right now," and to be able to identify that and what's going on. But I'm glad this is helping. That was my goal in this is that when this was a random book that my wife got me, and as I was going with it, I go, this is really great, and I'd like to share as much as I can with it. It won't be always a constant thing, but it's kind of my goal to use this, especially this year, and and see how far we can get in it. Thank
But
you. Yes.
I just want to add that um, but I for me the value of that being able to come back to the present moment, it it allows me even it's really helpful for me to be outside and see what's going on outside, and it just allows me to get out of myself and look at the bigger picture and appreciate all of the things that are going on around me that is living. It I don't know, that's the value of being able to focus on the present moment. One of the values, I would say. Anyway, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Gary, you had something?
Yeah, I agree with Marty. This is extremely helpful for me. I've actually Thich Nhat Hanh has been my teacher for a long, long time, and I was actually able to go to one of his, meditation retreats, and was just so impressed with the way he carried himself, and he definitely, lived what he's teaching. And I really appreciate going through this. I would welcome doing more. I find it's more helpful for me than just about anything else. It's very simple. I don't have to really sift through it. It's pretty straightforward, and it's a reminder. It's like, I've been doing this for a long time, but sometimes after hearing it for the 100th time, it sinks in. So I really welcome this. I'm glad you're using this text.
No, thank you, thank you. I'm glad it's helping. Anyone else? Okay, let's do the refuges. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhamman Saranam Gacchami. Sanghang Saranam Gacchami. Dudiyampe Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dudiyampe Dhamman Saranam Gacchami. Dudiyampe Sanghang Saranam Gacchami. Tadiyampe Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Tadiyampe Dhamman Saranam Gacchami. Tadiyampe Sanghang Saranam Gacchami. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
You have a wonderful week.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care. Thank you.